Hello and welcome to this Ingram Micro Cloud Dynamics 365 Accelerate program video, where today we're going to be doing an introduction into Dynamics 365. My name is Matthew Batterby and I'm the EMEA Dynamics 365 lead here at Ingram Micro Cloud. And I'm joined today by our Dynamics 365 solutions architect, Ed Smith, that also works across the EMEA region. We're going to be looking at each individual application in a bit more detail, really highlighting some of the great benefits of utilizing Dynamics 365. We're also going to spend some time looking at the value to not only Microsoft resellers in transacting Dynamics to their customers, but also the value as an end customer in utilizing Dynamics. What's the return on investment for an end user? We're also going to spend some time just looking at the Microsoft ecosystem and where does Dynamics sit amongst, the common data service, Power Platform, Azure, Microsoft 365. And we're also going to spend some time with a bit of focus on Microsoft Teams and Dynamics 365 working together to enable more productivity. And then we're also going to spend some time just highlighting some key resources that are available to you, whether you're an end customer or whether you're a Microsoft partner. And we're also going to highlight our Dynamics 365 Accelerate program, which enables Microsoft resellers to easily transact Dynamics to their customers with no risk and no investment. Well, that's enough of an introduction for today, so let's get stuck into it, shall we? And I always like to start actually by looking at what do your current customers look like today? Now, you can see here that all these applications, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these applications, but they don't talk to one another. They're not integrated. Your customers currently potentially using multiple applications across multiple different, departments within their business, very much in these data silos. Data is having to be input more than once, the increased risk of human error. These applications aren't talking to one another. Perfect example, sales not talking to marketing, marketing not talking to sales not talking to finance, so the forecasting's off and so on. So the idea here that we get everyone onto Dynamics 365. Dynamics 365 covers, an entire range of applications to cover, a full business needs from the sales team, the customer service team, marketing, the finance team, the supply chain, HR, anything and any type of business can utilize Dynamics 365 to bring all their data together and really enable them to grow and develop. So Dynamics isn't only a solution just to use, it's a solution to help organizations grow, and then the solution actually grows with them. It's really key. And now, just to do a bit of an overview from a Microsoft perspective, what's the value of selling Dynamics? Microsoft is that only vendor out there that can really sell in every room of the house, as they put it. So, you've got your modern workplace, you've got Microsoft 365, you've got the applications and infrastructure, and they can offer the business applications with the data and AI as well. So they can really offer that to every room of the house. And actually, Dynamics 365 really does sit in every room of the house. So if you really want to optimize your customers' businesses and really want to help them grow, want to help them develop, want to help them harness their data and do more with it and really, optimize their workforce and really engage with their customers on a personalized level, then Dynamics 365 is the only way to do that. And data really is the new oil when it comes to the modern world. And Dynamics 365 really is that place where businesses can really harness their data. And that's not just harnessing, for example, customer data, but also their workforce data. Now, I always kind of use the example as a sales manager because I've done that role before. I've been a call center manager. I've been a sales manager. So I kind of understand from that perspective, analyzing data is really important. And having that gifted to me on a dashboard is so valuable and so time saving. So the fact that you can really optimize your workforce, if you've got a sales team, as an example, you've got a couple of real good performers and then some weaker performers, as you do in any sales team, being able to really harness the data to see what's making a top performer a top performer. Are they engaging more with customers? Are their emails more personable? All these kind of things that you can really analyze bring that data together and really just empower your workforce beyond belief. And that's not just sales, it is other working environments as well. I just kind of always revert back to what I know. I always think back to previous roles and think, I wish I had Dynamics. I had some terrible CRM solutions and self-built solutions that didn't really tell me anything. And it meant there was a lot of manual work. And a lot of hours were spent just trying to get some data and look at it and analyze it. Whereas actually with Dynamics, you can really just see that data. And it's not just empowering your workforce, also getting a 360-degree view of your customers, seeing trends and customer behavior and really analyzing your data so you can provide personal experience to customers. And also just really harness that data, get insights, get actionable insights, and make decisions based on those insights. And really, just really optimize a business and help a business grow. So data is really key to this. And being able to harness that data in Dynamics 365 is extremely valuable. And from the point of view of what you're potentially missing out on by not transacting Dynamics 365, actually you're missing out on about 40% of the potential revenue that your end customers are going to spend on tech, by not offering the business application side of things, so not offering CRM and not offering the ERP. You really are missing out on a big opportunity here. And then actually, what does Dynamics 365 do for you? What is that going to do for your Azure business, your Microsoft 365 business? We can see there with the top statistic, you're 10 times more likely to transact Azure following Dynamics 365 than you are from Microsoft 365. So you really are going to increase your Azure business. And actually, if you transact Dynamics 365 into an already Azure consuming customer, you're likely to double their spend over time. So you really start to see here the value of Dynamics. Dynamics 365 is that beachhead product. Once you get Dynamics 365 into an end customer, they're likely to have Microsoft 365 for those integrations that we're going to come on to later. And they're also likely to move more to the cloud and more into Azure. You're going to likely increase the average revenue per user from Microsoft 365 to up 80% when you add Dynamics 365 in. So it really is some massive revenue, growth things here that you've got. The opportunity is very big. And then from the point of view of the licensing margins and the rebates as well, the highest Microsoft rebates, almost double that of Microsoft 365 and Azure. Sorry, actually over double that currently on Microsoft 365 and Azure. And the margins as well, much higher on Dynamics than they are on Microsoft 365. But the key one for me is the solution stickiness and your churn rates. We see on average Microsoft 365 resellers have a churn rate of around 25%. And actually, that's not customers just moving, say, from a Microsoft solution to, say, using Google or anything else. That's just moving from one Microsoft reseller to another, staying on Microsoft 365. So Microsoft don't see that churn, but the partners are seeing it. But actually, when you add Dynamics 365 into your offering, what you're actually doing is improving your churn rate to less than 6%. And if you're also transacting Azure, less than 1%, you become that one-stop shop for your customers. And a big part of that is the return on investment for your end customers. On average, the return on investment is for every dollar spent on Dynamics, the return on investment is $16.97. And that's a completely independent study. It's not a Microsoft study or an Ingram Micro study, completely independent. And that statistic is very real. So the return on investment is massive for your end customers. And they're really going to see the value of this. And they're really going to love you for it, for providing them with these solutions. So they're going to stay with you, and you are going to be their one-stop shop tech provider. So you can see here, the opportunity is massive, and what's in it for you as a partner is massive, and what's in it for your customer is massive as well. Now, before we go into the training, I just kind of want to do a terminology slide, so to speak, because you may be familiar with CRM and ERP. What you may not be familiar with is customer engagement and unified operations. I always make the joke that, Microsoft have their own language, and this is kind of part of that. So customer engagement is essentially your CRM side of Dynamics. Your sales applications, customer service, marketing, and so on. And unified operations, that's your ERP, that's your finance, your supply chain management, HR. There's also a retail application in there called Commerce, which we'll come on to these in much more detail shortly. And then right there in the middle, you've got Business Central. That's one application that does all of those things. And again, my colleague Ed Smith is going to go into that in much more detail a bit later on. But that is your very much an SMB solution from an ERP perspective, but also has customer management tools in there and HR and customer service and so on. So, it's not just the ERP, it's so much more, and it's very good for SMB customers. So this is mainly a slide just for terminology, really. And I want to spend just a couple of minutes just doing a bit of a licensing overview. I have got a completely separate video to this, so I do go into much more detail on licensing on another video. But what I would say is, it's good to have a good overview just to understand it in a light way before we go into the training. And then if you do want to watch that video, feel free to. And then what I'd always say is that we at Ingram Micro Cloud, we are the Dynamics licensing experts. So feel free to get in touch with us for any licensing queries. We're more than happy to help. So just wanted to start off with, you'll notice on the left-hand side, you've got some arrows and some words there. So you've got your full users, and then you've got multi-app users, attached SKUs. What that means is, essentially, because you can license each application individually, so let's say you've got an organization and all they want right now is a new CRM system for their sales teams. They could just get Sales Professional or just Sales Enterprise. They've got 5 users, so they order 5 licenses. That's it. Those users might also handle customer service queries. So now you start to get into the multi-app user world. And let's say, for example, they've made the decision, they need the more advanced SKUs, they need the enterprise SKUs because they want the kind of AI and cool, funky capabilities. That's great. So they want Sales Enterprise, they want Customer Service Enterprise, and they want 5 of each. Now, you don't have to pay full price for all of those applications. That's 10 applications. What you would do is you would pay for the most expensive application SKU at full price, and then the cheaper one you would get at an attached price to make it even cheaper. So you'd have 5 users using Sales Enterprise and then the same 5 users using Customer Service Enterprise, but purchased as an attached license, which you can see there under the dotted line. The other things you may notice on this slide, you've got some minimum seat requirements. So, for example, finance there, up in kind of towards the top right, 20 seat minimum. And this might be where you start to think maybe Business Central is the better fit for an organization that needs an ERP solution, because they don't have 20 people sat in a finance team. So they're a bit of a smaller organization. Business Central is going to be the right fit for them. So it's just something to be aware of as well. And then what I'll just highlight as well, you might notice that a lot of these is purchased, you've either got per user, or some of them have device availability, and then you've also got organization or tenant. And marketing is one of those. Marketing you can purchase at a base license or as an attached license. Essentially, if you've got 10 full users of Dynamics elsewhere in the business, you can get marketing much cheaper. And marketing, the reason it's per tenant is because it's done based on the number of contacts that the organization's got, not the number of people sat in the marketing team. So that doesn't matter. They could all have their own login. And you may also notice at the bottom there, you've got some team member license. So just to kind of highlight what those are, essentially light users. Let's say that could be, for example, a CEO of a company. They don't want to be going in handling customer service queries or updating sales data, but they want to see what's happening in their business. One thing I will say, if they do want to see applications in both Unified Ops and also customer engagement, they would need to be licensed twice. As you can see, there is a direct split there. You've also got another light user, which is Human Resources Self-Service. So you'll notice in the top there, you've got the Human Resources application, and that is for human resource professionals. The Human Resources Self-Service is someone like me, someone that just wants to book off holidays, someone who might need to report that they're off sick. They might want to complete an appraisal. So from a manager's perspective, they can do all their appraisals right there in the application. No need for pen and paper, no loss of data, and can really track, the performance of a employee. So that's what the Human Resources Self-Service application is mainly for. But we'll come on to the individual apps a bit later on. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview as to the licensing without going too complicated. As I say, I've got another video for that. And as I also said, we're Ingram Micro Cloud. We know this licensing and we're more than happy to help you. And I just wanted to highlight the Dynamics Business Central licensing as well. So really does fit the needs of sort of mid-sized businesses, small and medium-sized businesses. You've got 2 different application types. You've got Premium and you've also got Essentials. Premium has more capability than Essentials, essentially. And then what you can also do is you also can attach customer service professional and sales professional as an attached license to Business Central. Now you may be thinking, I mentioned earlier that actually Business Central does have some customer management kind of capabilities. But actually, with Dynamics 365 Sales Professional, we often see that being attached to Business Central to really heighten the amount of capability that a sales team has, depending on the type of organization. So because that was happening more and more, Microsoft have actually made it available as an attached SKU, which is amazing. So more value and more capabilities. So they integrate so well together perfectly and seamlessly that now the fact that you can get it cheaper as well is really valuable. There's no minimum licensing requirement for this, and the only thing I will say is that if, for example, you had a user using Premium, you couldn't then have a user in the same tenant using Essentials. It's all on one or the other. That's the kind of rule with Business Central. And then you've also got the additional SKUs there that you'll see at the bottom, the team member SKUs. So you can get team members, basically light user again, utilizing Business Central, maybe in an admin role or the owner of the business. And on the topic of Business Central, what I'm now going to do is hand you over to Ed Smith. He's going to talk to you about Dynamics 365 Business Central and also the differences between Business Central and then also the supply chain management and finance. So you can really see the difference of where those applications sit in the market. So when you're thinking of a customer, that you're dealing with, whether they're going to be a good fit for Business Central or whether their operations are so big that they require finance and supply chain management applications. So over to you, Ed.
Thank you, Matt. I'm aware that to many people, Business Central is perhaps not still a familiar name in the marketplace. If you're buying into Business Central, this is the latest naming iteration on a product that Microsoft acquired back in 2002. So you might be familiar with the name of Navision. It was then rebranded as Dynamics NAV. Business Central is the latest naming convention for that product. So you're buying into a solution with a rich development heritage, very, very stable product, and an extensive user base. Not just a naming convention though, the product has become a little bit more granular in terms of where it sits with Microsoft's business applications, and Matt already mentioned about the integration with customer engagement as an attached SKU and how we can extend the use of this ERP, this enterprise resource planning tool, to cover off extensive customer service, and we'll talk about business intelligence and reporting. Overall, Business Central is multi-company, multilingual, multi-currency. So if you've got 3 organizations running in different locations with intercompany trading between them, for instance, then they could all sit within the same single tenant on Business Central. Equally, if you're a single user, maybe you've just set your own business up offering pure play financial services to the market, Business Central could also be suitable for you in terms of scalability from a single user up to many users. We've got that scale, we've got that reach, we've got that opportunity within a single product. Within the single product, we're just going to use this slide to pick out some of the key functional or process areas within Business Central. I'll start with supply chain management. So if you're an organization that buys stocks and sells inventory, for instance, then within Business Central, controlled at item level, we've got minimum and maximum levels. We've got reorder quantities and preferred suppliers, along with buffer stock and lead time. So if you're an organization that's targeting high service levels, high availability of inventory for a quick response to customer demand, then managing your supply chain from forecast and actual demand to support your sales and operational planning processes, to automate procurement, bring inventory in on time against forecast demand, then that traditional MPS and MRP approach will absolutely work in Business Central, whilst giving you manual control by pushing recommendations back to you, and you can choose to override them if you wish. That very much drives down into operational management, which tends to be the more inward looking processes. So if you're a manufacturing organization, for instance, that has got a bill of material, requires a product routing, and the management of resources, be those human resources or machine resources, to control and plan the throughput through your factory, tied into material demand and material supply, and capturing actual costs against forecasted costs, then we've got organizations using Business Central for very complex manufacturing requirements. Pushing that through towards project management, this is typically targeting organizations where you're engaging with a customer in a project, and that might be for the supply of professional services, and it could be services along with a mix of product. So the jobs module in Business Central takes that project management approach based on a template for a work breakdown structure, and you can take a template from a previous job and learn from that and use it as the starting point for your new project, so we can capture best practice without having to reinvent the wheel or start from a blank piece of paper all of the time. And within the project, we've got different phases with gateways. Each of the phases breaks down to tasks that can be allocated against individual resources, start date, end date, with a budgeting structure specifically to that project, so that we've always got a forecast of expected cost, capture of actual costs through timesheets and material allocations, so we can always see, are we on track against the project? What's the forecast revenue? What's our actual and expected cost of goods sold? So are we financially on track against that project as well? And reading through then towards sales and service management, if you're an organization who perhaps supplies high value items, if you supply laptops, for instance, you're probably going to want to trace those unique laptops using the serial number through to the end customer. And more than that, you want to actually trace it back to the original supplier. So we've got traceability against lot numbers and against serial numbers, all the way from procurement through inventory through to supply. So when you supply to a customer, that will generate a service contract and a service level agreement, and we can trace through any corrective actions, any field service actions that we need to put in place, and use that for cause and effect traceability. If we find that we are repetitively sending engineers out for the same unit on the same customer site, for instance, then let's trace that all the way back to the original procurement cycle to understand, is it a problem with the item that we bought, the way that we've configured it, the way that we've delivered it? So just wanted to pick out those areas because these are standard in Business Central. Whether you're an organization that could be a single user supplying professional accountancy services through to a high volume manufacturing organization and supply organization, and whether that's a mix of product or professional services, these are standard modules in Business Central that address different lines of business. So the challenge and the opportunity, therefore, is simply to configure the system to work the way that you want it to work. Matt mentioned earlier the different licenses. So an Essentials license doesn't include the deep dive manufacturing and service management. So if you don't need those, don't pay for it. If you can make use of it, then the premium license brings those into play. So you're only paying for what you need out of the system. And if you've got those infrequent users or a user with a limited scope within the system, maybe just doing purchase order approvals, for instance, it's a vital process, but a Teams license will allow that user to do limited reporting and limited functional processes. So again, only paying for what you actually need. Standard within the system, of course, we've got reporting and analytics. There's a plethora of standard reports. We can bend them and shape them. Not all reports that are standard suit everybody. For users, for data inquiries, for drill downs. We've got views that can be filtered, configured and tailored and specifically saved against that user. So maybe we've got two users both working in finance looking at the same set of data, but they want to take a slightly different view on it. Then by using lists and configuring that, they can save specific views that can sit on their own landing page, that approach to a role-tailored client to personalize the system, make your users more efficient, add value to what they're doing during the day. And for more extensive reporting within Power Platform from Microsoft, we've got Power BI, which is business intelligence. So if you want to generate those graphs that give you key performance indicators, again, they can sit on the landing page within Business Central, and you can develop those yourselves. You don't have to be an IT specialist. With a little bit of training on Power BI, you can generate your own graphs, your own reports, and fully integrate those with Business Central. And of course, key to any enterprise application is financial management, and I'll touch on that in the next slide. Financial management is absolutely at the heart of any enterprise system and no different with Business Central. Important to point out, it's fully integrated, and indeed financial management and accountants are one of the key target areas for Business Central in the UK. We've been asked in the past, could we implement Business Central and integrate with a third-party product? The answer is yes, but almost why would we need to do that? Why would we consider that? The financial management module in Business Finance covers off cash book, consolidation, we've got credit control, fixed assets with various forms of depreciation, general ledger or chart of accounts, as you would expect, handling intercompany trading. One of the great things is multi-dimensional analysis, where we can work with you to understand how you would best like to understand your financial data, how you want to report on it, and set up dimensional analysis that's carried through from transactions so that we can really slice and dice the data very easily. And of course, purchase ledger and sales ledger tied into the sales and purchasing processes. Cost of goods for inventory with FIFO, LIFO, standard and average, for instance, and very strong around cash forecasting. I did mention earlier on that the system is multi-currency and multi-company. So in terms of a financial management system that absolutely can stand on its own, we've got a lot of organizations that adopt Business Central for pure play finance, regardless of the other modules, whether they're starting up as an organization and want to build the business as they go along. A lot of organizations migrating into Business Central from either spreadsheet-based processes that they've outgrown or some of the lower level financial management systems that simply can't cope with the accelerated growth of the organization anymore. So fully integrated, very, very strong, and absolutely sat at the heart of the organization. To put this into position, typically Business Central will implement for organizations with, say, between 2 and 200 employees. Most implementations, I think on average, we see somewhere between 10 and 30 Business Central users being implemented as part of the system. So at this level in the SMB market, incredibly scalable, incredibly strong, and fully integrated. And to wrap up on Business Central, I won't read through all of the lines on this slide one by one, just I guess to reiterate some of those key points that we've already mentioned in previous slides. Business Central typically targeting the small to medium business marketplace from a single user up to tens or even hundreds of users. Most commonly, in terms of size of business, it's between 20 and 200 employees across various lines of business, as we've tried to highlight with the different modules that are available. In terms of licensing, the Essentials license typically covers the requirements of 80% of organizations that we deal with. A Premium license extends the application more deeply into manufacturing and service management. Key areas to consider with Business Central: it's pretty much out of the box in terms of deliverables, so with minimum configuration. The implementation time can be incredibly rapid. I think the fastest implementation working with one of our business partners was 1 week from start to finish for a 3-user organization, admittedly fairly simplistic, and they stuck to the standard processes. So 1 week from buying the solution to importing master data, opening balances and transactions, customer training, and go live. More often we'll be looking at an implementation. Again, we're still looking for that rapid approach. We want to get the application in, adding value to your organization. So we're looking for something certainly less than 3, 4, or 5 months. We've absolutely moved away from those long-term implementations in the SMB marketplace. Very little configuration, but if you need to customize the solution and extend it for things like optical character recognition for inbound purchase invoices, these are available as standard extensions to the system. We do try and stay away from bespoke development because that makes it easier to upgrade the system. It makes it easier to support it into the future. Having taken a look at Business Central, that's one of 2 ERP systems that Microsoft has got within the Dynamics platform. Let's move on now and look at D365 Supply Chain and simplistically, we could think about D365 Supply Chain Management almost as Business Central's bigger brother. I mentioned earlier on in the slides that Business Central came from an acquisition in 2002 by Microsoft. Same story with supply chain management. You might have known this in the market as Axapta and then Dynamics AX. So going back 18 years, this was Microsoft moving into the enterprise marketplace with the acquisition of an ERP product, which is more extensive than Business Central, typically targets larger organizations. So the example I gave before was that we might think about Business Central targeting organizations with between 2 and 200 employees. D365 Supply Chain Management will typically look at a larger scale, moving up from the small to medium enterprise market to the medium to large enterprise market, so maybe between 500 and 5,000 people within the organization. The key difference, as you can see from the schematic on the screen, is the range of modules that sits within the application, and also in many ways some of the depth that sits within there. So in Business Central we talked about manufacturing capability with bill of material and routings. When we look at D365 Supply Chain, in terms of manufacturing process, we're looking to delve much deeper into lean manufacturing process and discrete manufacturing with a little bit more detail that tends to reflect the requirements of larger organizations with larger manufacturing capabilities. And where we've got those larger organizations, that tends to push out more into the depth of control around production with timesheets, clocking in, clocking off, booking on and off jobs, and pushing out into supply chain optimization. And I think here's where the key differences come in. If you've got a single site in the UK and your manufacturing or supply chain complexes are not tremendously difficult, then Business Central will absolutely do the right job for you. As we move into multi-site with collaborative supply chain, where those sites might be in different countries or different continents, and we're looking to optimize the supply chain and the inventory management that's shared between those organizations. So we've moved away from this idea of having separate organizations to collaborative organizations with complex supply chain. That's where D365 Supply Chain really comes to the fore. The depth of process, the depth of functionality will suit the larger organizations. And here comes a difference in terms of implementation as well. I talked about Business Central as being a little bit more out of the box with the ability to go for a rapid implementation. D365 Supply Chain is absolutely fully fledged and configured as an enterprise system, But dealing with those larger organizations tends to suit more of a traditional ERP approach that's based around defining and tailoring business processes within the organization and shaping the ERP system to fit, rather than it being much more the other way around as we would with Business Central. Now, don't get me wrong, supply chain management can absolutely scale down. It's got a minimum user license of 20 users, so that tends to be a hard stop between Business Central and supply chain. We can take this bigger solution and scale it down, so there is quite an overlap between the two ERP solutions. Typically, as I said, driven by complexity of process, number of sites, especially if they're across different countries or continents, and the complexity of the supply chain. I mentioned on the previous slide that D365 supply chain was an evolution of the Axapta and then the Dynamics AX product. One of the great things that Microsoft has done over the last few years is break down its product set to become a little bit more granular. So Dynamics AX was split off into D365 Supply Chain and D365 Finance, which means we can actually implement those as entirely separate products as well as having them fully integrated. So let's take a quick look at D365 Finance. I mentioned on the previous slides that probably the key differences between Business Central and D365 Supply Chain and Finance is going to be based around the size of the customer organization and the complexity of that organization. If you look at the screen image that you can see, the look and feel is very similar between D365 Finance and Business Central. As you would expect, this is that same single authored approach. But if you look at the schematic for finance down on the right hand side, there's bound to be a huge overlap between Business Central and D365 Finance. The key difference is centered around the depth of the functionality and this system being more targeted towards global financial organizations, where the complexity of managing a supply chain with the costing behind it, the complexity of intercompany trading across multilingual and multinational organizations maybe takes it a step away from some of the relative simplicity of Business Central. In terms of the overall process, as you would expect, we've got all of the core financials. Key difference will be in the configuration of tax and regulatory reporting and compliance across different organizations for different countries and companies, especially based around intercompany trading and finance.
Thanks, Ed. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you. So now what I'm going to do is spend a bit of time looking at some more of the applications of Dynamics, starting with Dynamics 365 Sales. Dynamics 365 Sales is a brilliant application. And I've mentioned before that I've been a sales manager and I wish I'd had this application. But essentially, you can manage your entire sales process right through to creating a lead, all the way to that lead becoming an opportunity, going right through to quote and the actual sale in the end as well. So that full sales process can be managed. You can also make sure that you're managing it properly. So if there are certain steps, so let's say you've got a 4-step sales process, but to get from step 1 to step 2, the salesperson has to complete certain steps within that step. You can make that enforced. You can really do that. If you, for example, also want to get clever with it and say if it's going to go to a stage 3, it has to have manager sign-off approval. You can automate that using Power Automate as well. So you can really start to make it so you can make it your own. I really like some of the other cool stuff that you've got, like the embedded intelligence, the relationship assistant. So the to-dos that you can see there in brackets, it's really cool. So for example, if I'm emailing someone and I say, no problem, I'm going to do that by next Thursday, because my emails are being sort of analyzed by Dynamics 365, it recognizes that I've said I'm going to do something and I'm going to do it by next Thursday. So that job then appears in my to-do list within Dynamics 365 on my dashboard. So very clever stuff, and it will remind me to do it by next Thursday. So really valuable for people who maybe are forgetful or don't make notes. Again, really valuable. The email engagement analysis as well, more than just that, but understanding and really supporting relationships within sales as well, business to business sales in particular, where you have that kind of relationship building going on. So if, for example, a client says, I'm going to the zoo on the weekend with family, next week when I email that person, I'll be prompted to say, how was the zoo? I'm reminded of what was said. So really understanding the relationships and the importance of that, but also giving salespeople insights and actions and things like that to really support that. Product catalog management as well. So ensuring that, all the products or services that you're offering as a business are in that catalog. So if a customer emails in, and this is where it gets really clever, and you can also do this on Business Central, but let's say you run a business and you sell office furniture, customer emails you and they say, I need 10 times black office chair. Now, let's say that is enough, and that kind of matches or near enough matches something that's in your product catalog. What Dynamics 365 will do right within Outlook is recognize that is a customer, recognize it is a customer asking for an amount of a product and which product. And what will happen is right within Outlook, you'll be able to build a quote. It will automatically do it for you in a matter of seconds. You can check that over, and then you can attach it to the email and send it back. So right within Outlook, not even having to leave to go look in Dynamics or anywhere else, go on to Microsoft Word maybe and even type out the quote or make some amendments, those kind of things. It will do it automatically for you. You can go right from email to quote in a matter of minutes. So really valuable stuff that you can do. I really like as an ex-sales manager being able to analyze data as well. I've mentioned it already in parts, but when you can really analyze the data of your sales team, understand who's doing what, who's doing what from a sales perspective, and what's really causing them to do more sales. So are they better at the relationship side of things and relationship building? Are they communicating with their customers more or less? If they're on a phone call with them, how long are they staying on the phone call? What's their listen to talk ratio? All these kind of analysis that you can see using sales insights is really valuable as well. So really valuable tool from a sales manager perspective. And one thing that I really like, which is available in Sales Enterprise, is the gamification too. And you can actually build this out like a fantasy football team if you wanted to. And it doesn't matter, how long you want those kind of competitions to go on for. But, gamification is really important in a sales role. Making sure that people are motivated, making sure they're incentivized. And Dynamics 365 enables you to do that. You can see those leaderboards or, in the fantasy football team format, and all those kind of things right within everyone's dashboard that's involved in that game, which is really valuable. And it could even be, could be a week-long competition. It could be that it's been a bit of a slow week. So Friday morning, you say, okay, whoever does the most by 1 o'clock goes home. You can set those up right within Dynamics 365. So long gone are the days of, needing to write it on a board or anything like that. So, really great stuff that Dynamics allows you to do. And they keep bringing out new and improved features and functionalities for Dynamics as well. But as you can see, it really does enable an organization to completely manage their sales process, get insights from the data, and then be able to action those insights as well. And also along the way throughout that sales process, get hints and tips, whether they're pre-built in, from the organization, or it's just from Dynamics using AI and machine learning to give you actions and give you insights on your customers. So really valuable tool and will really improve productivity and just improve the sales conversion as well. And the fact that you can do stuff right within Outlook and Microsoft Teams, which I'm going to spend a bit more time on later, you'll really see how you can be even more productive with Microsoft Teams. Now that's Dynamics 365 sales done. We're going to move on to Dynamics 365 customer service. Dynamics 365 customer service really, does what it says on the tin, so to speak. It is a customer service application to manage customer service queries or cases, as it's worded here, and really manage that process and ensure that, cases are handled in a good, timely manner as well. So really enable you to manage those cases right through to the point where it comes in, easily view them, sort them, and act on any of those cases. There's a couple of things in here that I really like. So I always like to tell a story with this. But let's say I am the customer and I am making a query or a complaint. So I go to that organization's website and they're using Dynamics 365 customer service. So I come to a chatbot on the website and I write in my initial query, and the chatbot doesn't know what I'm talking about. So I end up speaking to an agent via a live chat. So the live chat agent now takes over within that chat space. What happens is, rather than me having to repeat myself, the live chat agent will see everything that's been communicated prior between me and the chatbot. But let's say, for example, the live chat doesn't go well. They still can't really help me, so they suggest I phone in. So I phone in, and I end up speaking to a completely different agent. It's no problem. I don't have to repeat myself. They will be able to see everything that's been said to the chatbot and to the live chat agent. So that in itself is a really valuable tool. You can start to see how, as a customer, when you speak to an organization that's utilizing this, the fact that you don't have to repeat yourself, point number one, is really valuable. There's nothing worse than getting passed around, having to keep repeating yourself. And it could be that, the person you end up on the phone with can't help you, but they pass you on to someone else. You still haven't got to repeat yourself again because they've got all the notes, which is really valuable. Now, let's say, for example, phone call goes well, they help me, they send me something over and it works, and I'm happy, I'm a happy customer. What you don't want as an organization, though, is every time someone has that query, they have to go through that process: chatbot, live chat, phone. So you'll see there the bullet point knowledge management. This is really key now, because what basically happens is the system learns and learns how to help these customers faster, so that eventually it will be that the chatbot can help customers with the exact same query. And what that does is that frees up your customer agents' times to actually deal with much more complex queries. So, improving their productivity, improving the speed of cases as well, improving customer satisfaction, and improving customer loyalty, therefore. So the knowledge management thing I really like. I also like the service level management tools that are within Dynamics 365 customer service as well. So let's say, for example, you're an organization, you've got 3 levels of support. You've got bronze, silver, gold. Bronze, the SLA is, we'll get back to you within 2 days. Silver, a day. Gold, a couple of hours. What basically happens is the way in which it sorts the cases is to ensure that human error doesn't come into it, and the SLA will always be hit. What can happen in some customer service applications that I've used previously as well is they just come in date order. And the problem is that someone might miss something, or someone might click on it and then not want to deal with it and then go off it. And it's not tracked. So it moves down to the bottom of the list. This doesn't allow you to do that. So it ensures that you're always going to hit your SLA as well, which is really valuable. And it really does remove that kind of human error. As a manager, you can really analyze all the data as well. So you can analyze your customer service agents' data. You can see, who's handling the most queries. Are people dodging queries because they're too complicated, and those kind of things. You can really view your customer service agents' data, ensure they're handling queries properly in a timely manner, hitting their SLAs. And you can also set up gamification again. So, I used to do this as well from a customer service management perspective. I want my team to handle as many tickets as possible to, improve our customer service scores. It's really important in this day and age. I mean, customer service outgoes price. I personally, and I know that a lot of people are in the same boat, I pay more for better customer service than to go somewhere cheap and not get great customer service. And I know that's the way of the world now. People will pay more for better customer service. This is going to allow organizations to provide much better customer service. And then from a customer service insights perspective, being able to get that 360-degree view of your customer base, ensure that because you've got that data, you can really act on it and ensure that, every experience is personal for each customer, because you know about them, their habits, you've analyzed their kind of behavior and their, their transactional and observational behavior and those kind of things. So this really does enable you to get that complete view of your customers to ensure that they're getting that personalized touch. The agents understand that customer. They see, past complaints or queries or purchases or everything within that customer record to really provide a personalized experience. And using the customer service insights, this is where I'm going to start kind of bringing in other applications as well. Imagine using the customer insights tool to actually then do more personalized marketing. based on maybe a complaint, based on something they've purchased, based on anything, using the insights to actually do smarter marketing. And that's exactly the same for sales as well. I didn't really mention it on there, but being able to have, when you're phoning up maybe a sales potential client and you've marketed to them already, imagine being able to see exactly what they've been clicking on those email campaigns, what they've been reading on. It's really valuable data, and this is where the applications coming together. You really start to see that as we talk more about the different applications. Okay, we just mentioned it just now, but now we're going to move on to Dynamics 365 marketing. And now looking at Dynamics 365 marketing, just to give an overview of this, again, I like to kind of tell a story about the application and what it can do. So I'm going to use the story of actually if you're going to create an event. So you're going to create an event, you've got to think about different things you need. You need to plan the event. You need to almost do project management to plan that event. You're going to need a landing page for people to register to. You're going to need an email campaign to go out. You might want to segment the people. So it could be that I'm going to use the UK as an example, but it's an event. You're going to do 2 events. You're going to do one in the north of England, one in the south. One in the south is running first. So you need to send the email to only people in the south. And it might be that actually you think that the event is better for people aged 18 and above, or 18 to 40 or so on. So you want to segment the list even more so by demographics and geographics. So you can do all that. So that's the event that you're going to think about. So this is the story I'm going to tell. So firstly, Dynamics 365 will really enable you to create those events and to manage those events, really put the planning in place and the budgeting capabilities and everything right from within Dynamics. So almost like a project management application for events. So you can do all of that. And then the next step is you want to create a marketing campaign. So first of all, you want to create your landing page before you send the emails out. You can do all of that right from within Dynamics as well. So you've created your landing page. It looks amazing. You've got your registration form on there. Great. Now you need to tell people about it. So you need to create a marketing campaign. So you need to create your initial email. So let's say, for example, you want that email to look good on phones, tablets, laptops, doesn't matter what device they're using, you want it to look good. You can do that. You can test it out. You can make sure it looks good on phones. You can make sure it looks good on any device. But you can also very easily create your email campaign. Very much a drag and drop situation. It's almost like creating a PowerPoint deck or anything like that. So really kind of familiar tools. So you can create your email templates nice and easy. There's templates already built in, or you can start off with blank if you really wanted to. You can send out test emails as well to yourself. So you can just ensure that you're happy with the way it reads and the way it looks on all devices again. Then you've got your segments in your list. So I mentioned earlier, it's going to be in the south of England, people between the age of 18 and 40. You can do all that automatically. You can split those customers off by those segments and make sure that you're running marketing to the right people for this event. But let's say, for example, you want multiple emails to go out dependent on the customer reaction to the initial email. You can set up customer journeys. That's exactly what that's there for. So let's say, for example, the customer journey, the perfect customer journey is they're going to attend the event. So you send out the first email, they click on the link, they register. After they're registered, you might want something to happen. For example, just an email to say, congratulations, you're attending this event. It's on this day. Save it to your Outlook. You can do that. All automatic. And it might be that, let's say a week before the event, you want an email to go out just as a reminder and maybe some directions or something like that in there, maybe some hotel suggestions. I don't know. Again, you can do all that automatically. And then after the event, you want to send out a survey. That's exactly what voice of the customer is down there on the left, on the last bullet point. You can send out voice of the customer surveys, and you can do that via email. So there's like the perfect customer journey, but then you've got the imperfect ones as well. Maybe someone doesn't read the email. So what do you want to do? Wait a week and then maybe send another one out, or 2 weeks, or however long you want to leave that. You can do that automatically. Have you got customers that have maybe clicked on the link but not registered? You can do that. It could be that they register for the event but don't attend. There's another email there. So all of a sudden, you've got all these different flows going on. But again, it's really simple to set up, really quick and easy, drag and drop. And you've got these multiple customer journeys all set up. And it doesn't just have to be through an event. It could just be a marketing campaign about an offer. And it could be that you're offering, let's say, 3 products. You're offering Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Azure. Customer goes on and they start clicking on Dynamics 365. I mean, why wouldn't they? It's the best product, but that's by the by. But they click on Dynamics 365. If we don't interact with them, then maybe we click on, we send them another email just on Dynamics, and you can do all that automatically. It could even be that marketing data is then sent to the sales application. So if it's going out to your customers and your clients, it'd be great if the sales team had access to that. So again, let's say you're the salesperson. They've just received this marketing campaign. They're only clicking on the Dynamics information. As a salesperson, what's the point in phoning up and talking about Azure all the time? They're interested in Dynamics, so talk to them about Dynamics. Marketing enables you to do that. So this is where the other applications, talking to one another, really come in. And even those voice of the customer, because you can actually do that on Dynamics 365 customer service. You've got those customer surveys in there, so you can automatically send a survey out after dealing with a customer service query. But imagine having all that customer insights and data about, their past purchases, their behavioral traits, these kind of things. You can automatically make sure that your marketing personalized to them. I always use the example of, for me personally, it gets to December and I start going to Hotel Chocolat all the time and buying chocolate for people. That's kind of a go-to present for me and my family. But I also just really like the chocolate. And December is a time for chocolate. So, if Hotel Chocolat were supposedly going to market to me, the perfect time of year to do that is November. Getting ready for Christmas, telling me about all the stuff that's going on, really personalized marketing for me. And Dynamics 365 marketing enables you to do that. So that's Dynamics 365 marketing. We're now going to spend a bit of time on Dynamics 365 field service. Hello and welcome to this session where we're going to be doing an introduction into Dynamics 365. I'm joined today by our solutions architect that works across EMEA, Ed Smith, and my name is Matthew Batterby, and I'm the UK and EMEA Dynamics 365 lead for Ingram Micro Cloud. So today we're going to be doing an introduction into Dynamics 365, and what that means is we're going to be taking a look at what's the value of Dynamics 365, the value to our Ingram Micro partners, and also to their customers. We're then going to take a deep dive into each individual application and just kind of do a bit of an overview as to what kind of customers are going to be after those applications, what's the use cases, what's the value of using those applications. So we're going to be running through everything: Business Central, Dynamics 365 Sales, Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management, and the entire stack. We're also going to spend a bit of a focus time just on the Teams integrations with Dynamics 365. Teams adoption is just absolutely incredible these days, so it's really key just to show the advantages of using Dynamics 365 within Microsoft Teams. We're also going to spend a bit of time just looking at the overall Microsoft ecosystem. So, where does Dynamics 365 sit alongside the common data source, that Microsoft 365, Azure, and so on. And then finally, we're going to do a little introduction into actually the Power Platform as well. So Power BI, Power Automate, Power Apps, and Power Virtual Agents. So we're going to do a brief introduction to those, and then we're also going to show you some places where you can actually go to learn more. But that's enough of an introduction. Let's get stuck into an introduction into Dynamics 365. Okay, so that's field service done. We're now going to go into project service automation. And Dynamics 365 Project Service Automation really is that project management tool to enable project managers to manage their projects and forecast with confidence. Earn customer trust by ensuring project deliverables reflect the terms of the contract, approved work, and expenses. You can visualize accurate cost, effort, and revenue, and achieve predictable project delivery using robust project planning capabilities, including the native Microsoft project integration. You can also provide project managers with intuitive dashboards to review, monitor, and approve all costs and time impacting their projects. So it could be, someone taking a holiday or off sick, anything like that. They've got that full 360-degree view of their project and all their resources that are involved. You can really streamline that scheduling as well with intelligent and relevant skill-based assignments and real-time visibility to resources using a unified scheduling engine. You can also empower contractors and subcontractors to update their skills profile and apply directly for relevant projects as well. So it really is great for those external contractors that you're managing as part of your project management role. You can also respond very quickly to scope changes and project risks by managing critical key performance indicators to ensure profitable service delivery. And I think one thing that I would say is it really allows project managers to innovate with a modern and adaptable platform. So you can really accelerate the time to market and adapt the application to your needs with no code visual editors and tools that make it easy to build and deploy web and mobile apps. So there really is, it really is a great project management tool. I think, you can see on the visual there on the bottom of the slide, you can really see it's that familiar look and feel. Actually looks a little bit similar to the field service application, in that kind of Outlook calendar style view for really enabling you to manage projects effectively. And you also get real deep insights into the projects as well. Again, providing that data and AI to really help, provide a better project outcome as well. And the next application we're going to take a look at is Dynamics 365 Human Resources. Now, this application, you may know, depending on when you're watching this, Dynamics 365 Talent, you may know the original name of. They've recently changed the name to Dynamics 365 Human Resources, and now it really is that core HR functionality application for those core HR sort of capabilities, as opposed to the Talent, where it was that kind of attracting and onboarding application as well. This is all about core HR, managing an organization from a core HR perspective. And the capabilities really, you just look at it, I think it sums it up quite nicely on this slide here, where you can really see you can manage organizational structures, so that those org charts, jobs, positions, all those kind of things. You can manage the employee profiles to ensure that they're up to date. And I think personally, with the Human Resources self-service application that I mentioned earlier on the licensing overview for someone like me who just wants to book holidays and those kind of things, but also enabling me to really, in an organization, for example, like Ingram Micro, global organization, very big organization, if I want to find the right person to go and speak to, sometimes it can be difficult, in big organizations, but with Dynamics 365 Human Resources, makes it very simple to find someone. If you're looking for a particular skill set, department, person, doesn't matter. You're going to find it a lot easier using Dynamics 365 HR. Also managing things like benefits, ensuring that, if you've got bonuses or anything like that, even just ensuring that they've got the right amount of holidays, all that can be managed right from within Dynamics 365 HR. Also ensuring that if you have got triggers, for example, you can't be off sick more than 3 times in a 6-month period. Let's say that's a trigger for, a bit more of a managerial conversation, an appraisal type conversation. Then you can make sure that all that is in place as well, so you're automatically notified of those things being broken. I also like, if you bring in other applications as well, so you're an organization, you're utilizing Dynamics 365 Sales and Dynamics 365 HR, it really enables HR to really support from a tracking performance perspective. Where are people falling down? Where do people need training and support? And that way you can set all that training up right from within Dynamics 365 HR as well. The other thing that I really like is ensuring that you've got the right skills in the organization and managing those skills as well. As jobs even develop, during times of digital transformation with new technologies coming in and those kind of things, ensuring that you've got the right skills is really important. And, it creates a better working environment if you're really looking after your staff and really helping them develop their skills and helping them grow as a person. And one thing that I really like, and it's something that I'm quite passionate about personally, is promoting from within. You don't always want to go external for jobs. You want to promote from within. And I think what this enables us to do is really look at those skills and look at the skill gap analysis as well. And it might be that, let's say you're forecasting for the new year and you go, okay, in about 4 months' time, we're probably going to need, and I'm going to revert back to call center just because it's what I know quite well when it comes to kind of managerial side of things. But let's say you're managing that sales team or call center, and you know that you're employing more and more people, so you're going to need a new team leader, in about 4 to 6 months' time. You can look at your existing call center staff and potentially see, where is the skill gap? Who's got the skills to be a team leader now, or who's pretty close, but with the right training and support over the next 6 months, they're going to develop into a team leader. So you can really push your promotion from within, and Dynamics 365 HR really enables you to do that as a business. But I think personally speaking, it's a great application. It really enables an organization to provide a great working environment and provide a working environment that really rewards their staff as well, and really enables HR professionals to do so much more for the organization, outside of the normal realm of HR as well, which is really valuable. And last but by no means least, we're going to be looking at Dynamics 365 Commerce. And Dynamics 365 Commerce just really enables an organization, whether you're thinking in-store or you're thinking an online retailer, to really empower them to do so much more for their business and really improve things like customer loyalty and just the overall customer experience. And also reduce the risk of fraud as well and fraudulent transactions using Dynamics 365 fraud protection, which you can see there at the bottom. I'm going to tell a story around this again, and I'm going to start off with an in-store example. So I always use the example, and apologies if you don't know this store, if you're not in the UK, we have a shop called Shoe, which, as you can imagine, sells shoes. But basically, every time I've been in there, I've never once been to a till, and not because I've stole anything, but because the shop assistants actually just have mobile phones or tablets that they can do transactions on. And that's your modern point of sale. It's not having to go to a till. It's being able to pay for something anywhere in the shop with the shop assistant. So that's the kind of modern point of sale side of things. And that's what Dynamics 365 enables you to do, enables you to be able to make transactions anywhere in store. But also from the point of just providing a good positive experience. Let's say, for example, I'm going shopping for a watch and I see the watch online. So I go into the store to go and get it, and they say, oh, they haven't got it in. But being able to go onto a tablet and go, okay, we don't have it in this store, but actually one couple of towns over, they have it in and they have 3 of them in stock. We can get it delivered over here, or you can go there and get it. It's completely up to you. So really provide that great experience of actually knowing exactly what's in stock and where. And even providing the information as well. So if I do go into a shop looking for a watch and I want to know more about it, what carat gold is it, all these kind of things. Basically, they'll have all that data there right in front of them. So it's really valuable for the store assistants as well to be able to provide that personalized experience and make sure that they are the experts of any sort of question that's being asked and know exactly how they can help a customer. And also from a stock take perspective, understanding, when you're running low on stock, not having to do stock takes, it's kind of done in real time because of when the sales are going through, all done on modern point of sale. So if you're running low on stock, and you can even make it that if you hit a certain threshold, you automatically reorder more in and so on. But also there's a real great example of where Dynamics 365 Commerce is enabling an in-store experience. And I'm going to use this example. It's great. If you go on YouTube and search for it, it's brilliant. But it's Marks and Spencer's, which is a retailer in the UK. And not only do they do retailing, but they also do like supermarkets selling food. I often go shopping in there. And they've got brilliant, instead of, for example, going over the tannoy and saying we need more people to the tills, it's just alerts to the staff phones on the shop floor to say they need someone to go to tills so they can go. But also, things like, let's say, for example, a customer leaves the freezer open or the fridge open or the milk's running low or anything like that. Again, alerts to a phone so that you know if the milk is running low or if something's been left open or anything like that. You're alerted to that pretty much straight away to the staff's mobile phones on the shop floor to then just really handle that. It could be a spillage. It could be anything. And one thing that I really like, and you'll see that some stores now with modern technology are revamping their store and really looking at, actually the position of things in a shop and moving things around. And they're not just doing it to annoy us and they're not just doing it to make us spend more money, But actually, they're being quite clever about this. And I remember hearing about this as well myself. But it's things like, let's say, for example, certain aisles cause a lot of congestion. There are always busy aisles because of the products that are on them. They're commonly bought products. Spread those out or make the aisle wider. It's things like this that can be analyzed, and it's amazing to see. So it really is really valuable data and can do so much. And then from an online store perspective, again, real great, being able to have that data, being able to see your customer loyalty, being able to see common transactions and things like that. One thing that I really like is, let's say you've got your website set up using Dynamics 365 Commerce, and let's say it's a fashion retailer and my wife and I both shop on there. She shops for women's clothes, I shop for men's clothes. Which sounds very selfish. We don't buy each other presents, but that's the case. When I go onto that website, I'll go onto the homepage and I will see men's clothing. When she goes onto the homepage, she will see women's clothing and women's clothing offers. So we get that different personalized experience that suits us. And it could be that, for example, I've been on that website before, I've spent time looking at certain products, maybe even added them to my basket and then realized I was a bit poor until payday. So removed them from my basket. But when I go on, they will be the recommended products for me. So really understanding, my trends, my buying habits, to really create that personalized experience for me. And also, again, going back to using that data to do marketing. If I've added products to the basket, or if I've been looking at certain products for a while, start marketing to me about those certain products. You can do that with Dynamics 365 Commerce. So the online shopping experience, again, really valuable, really harness that data and really enables, a retailer to create that personalized shopping experience for their customers. And that is all the applications of Dynamics 365. As you can see, no matter what your end customer does, however big they are, whatever solutions they're currently using, Dynamics 365 really does have the answer and really will enable an organization to really do more, really be more productive, really grow and use an application or multiple applications in some respect that's really going to enable them to grow and grow with them as well, and provide them data, provide them insights, and provide them with the tools to help them do that. What I'm going to do now is just hand back over to Ed Smith, our Dynamics 365 Solutions Architect, as he's going to talk to you around the Microsoft ecosystem and actually where does Dynamics sit in that. Over to you, Ed.
Great, thanks, Matt. So we've talked about the applications and we've tried to give you a feel for each of those applications in terms of what they do. Just want to use this single slide to try and pull some of those ideas together and show you some of the interrelationships and how we can work. So this is often referred to as the BASE slide because it's the Business Applications Solutions Ecosystem. Bit of a mouthful, which is why we abbreviate this to BASE. This is actually last year's slide. I've still got a little bit of work to do because some of the application names have changed, but should serve a purpose for us to show you how this ecosystem all hangs together. So if you look at the green layer across the top, those are the Dynamics 365 applications that we've been talking about. So from left to right, we've got marketing through sales. Sales covers off the CRM functions. So when we talk about customer engagement and we talk about sales professional, they sit under the icon called sales. And Matt talked about customer service and field service, for instance. We've touched on IoT, which is Internet of Things. And this is the idea that we could have, for instance, remote sensors that trigger an activity or trigger an alert back to base to generate an activity for a field service engineer to go and visit a piece of equipment when we're thinking about preventative maintenance and remote monitoring. Moving across, talent has now been renamed human resources. Finance and operations is when I talked about D365 supply chain and finance that came out of the old AX product that became branded as finance and operations. That's now split off into two separate applications. So right in the center there we've got finance and operations and business central. That's the two ERP systems, and that provides us with that scalability. We shouldn't have to walk away from an opportunity to implement an ERP system with extensive functions or process requirements if they incorporate retail or project service, for instance, or whether it's customer engagement, customer service, or field service. Over on the right hand side of the application layer, you can see we've got artificial intelligence, absolutely vital and becoming more prevalent through all of the systems. So artificial intelligence not only running in the background, but driving us in real time with things like customer insight, so that we can get a prompt when we're working in customer engagement around the customer, around the market, around insights that could prove useful to us as a selling organization or a services organization to help our customers get a better experience with us, better value, and for us to really use that kind of leverage within the system, within the ecosystem, to pull those benefits through. Finally, over on the right hand side, mixed reality. If any of you guys have seen this, this is the HoloLens. This is a wearable heads-up display from Microsoft. And if you think about the HoloLens teamed up with field service, we can have a field service operator physically out working on a piece of kit. And there are many examples of this in place already through Microsoft customers, taking instruction via a Teams call from an expert back at base, taking data from our enterprise system and our knowledge base and feeding that back to the operator. So we talk a lot when we're evaluating ERP systems and requirements about adding value at the point of activity. And this is a prime example of don't put the kit down, don't drive back to base, pick up a manual, go back another day. The more we can get connected, the more we can do in real time, the less expense we've got and the more value we add. So that green level is the application layer. If you look just below it, also in green is the common data service. So these business applications sit on the common data service, and that allows us to expand our base, to share data between different applications, and to get access to that data. If you look across towards Power Platform, we've got Power BI for business intelligence, Power Apps, and Power Apps is a low-code or no-code development tool that allows you as an end user, as a reseller, to develop applications that can run on a mobile phone, a laptop, or a tablet, for instance, accessing data from the common data service and from third-party applications. And they don't have to be internal applications either. If you look just under the common data service, you can see connectors to external third-party systems. So if we want to integrate with Facebook or Twitter or SAP, for instance, we've got pre-built connectors that will allow us to get access to that data using the Power Platform, linking it through the common data service. So the kind of development tool that was previously the remit of business analysts, architects, developers, indeed software houses to develop those mobile applications, we're now putting that opportunity with end users, with resellers. You don't need to be an IT specialist to develop applications that will add value to your core system. So if you've got a process that is vital to your organization, doesn't naturally sit within one of the core systems, be that customer engagement or business central or HR, for instance, but you want to bring it into the IT architecture of your organization, Power Apps and Power Platform is a great way to go. We've got Flow on there, that's been rebranded as Automate. This is a workflow tool, so the approach of if this, then that. So if there's an action that triggers another action and a process, if you can automate that process rather than having a human do that process, it's less expensive and you free up that person to go and do something that might add more value to your organization. Reading across to the left, LinkedIn is a Microsoft organization now. That ties in brilliantly with HR. So if you're an organization that is searching for a pool of resources, either looking for that pool within LinkedIn, managing that pool, maybe you've got workers within a pool that come in on temporary contracts, then for sourcing, for recruiting and maintaining your workforce, HR and LinkedIn integrate brilliantly. Office 365, now rebranded as M365, the familiarity of these tools is also the familiarity of the business apps in terms of look and feel, which is why we tend to find user adoption is much more straightforward now than it ever used to be in the world of ERP. It was always about learning 2 or 3 or 4 different systems and different approaches. What we see now is that users are so familiar with M365 that adoption of the business applications is simply an extension of their existing experience. So integration with Outlook, so we can track and trace emails through customer engagement, for instance, so we can see all of the dialogue with our customers. And that's done just with a button on the Outlook ribbon, so we don't need to chop and change between applications. SharePoint for document storage, rather than bringing documents into the ERP system, let's use SharePoint for what it's really designed to do and simply link it to our customer engagement or ERP systems. Teams has become absolutely vital, especially over a few months where we've all gone through lockdown, for instance. Remote working and empowerment. We can access customer engagement from within Teams. Simply add it as a tab in that Teams channel. So again, we don't need to be changing around between applications, losing our focus and losing our concentration. We've got all of these tools embedded and wrapping around each other, and the familiar aspects of Excel and Word. So if we wanted to take a list out of Business Central, for instance, of inventory items, drop it into Excel, manipulate it, and then re-import, or drop it out, manipulate it, and share that with somebody, Excel, absolutely a natural fit with the business applications. Of course, all of these business applications sit on Azure services. This is where Microsoft has invested its money so that you don't have to. So we've moved away from the idea of having that rack of servers in the corner of a room, which has to be maintained by an IT specialist or by a local service provider, along with all of the cabling and the connections and the clients. By moving this up into the cloud, then we've got high availability, data that's stored and deployed in suitable regions with all of the legislation and GDPR compliance, for instance, that needs to wrap around that so that you've got the security and you've got the high availability. So the overall takeaway, I think, from this is that from a single author in Microsoft, we've got this raft of applications. We should never have to walk away from an opportunity from the lower end of the SMB market right up to multinational or global enterprises and organizations, with the extensibility for us to be able to even implement a minimum viable product on day one, absolutely with the comfort that the roadmap is there so that we can extend the product solution. And I'd be amazed if any organization outgrew the range of offerings that Microsoft can deploy.
Thanks, Ed. As always, that is awesome. You always deliver that slide to a T. So, well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. What I'm going to do now is spend a bit of time just on the Dynamics 365 integrations with Microsoft Teams. You know, Microsoft Teams, very important application. I probably couldn't do my job without it. And the fact that I can utilize Dynamics 365 right from within Teams makes life a lot easier. So we're going to take a bit of time just to look at that also.
So today we're going to look at the Microsoft Dynamics and Microsoft Teams integration. It's really easy to configure. You can essentially just add another application on the left-hand side of Teams. The first thing you're presented with is a bot. This enables you to ask questions, and the bot will essentially answer those, such as what are my opportunities, show me my accounts, whatever that might be. And the bot will pull information from Dynamics and then present that to the user, again inside of the Teams window. You can also access your Microsoft Dynamics solution in full. You can see things like your dashboards, which, as in Dynamics, are still drill downable and customizable. You can also access all of your records, such as your accounts, your leads, your opportunities, and also use the searching feature. Again, I'm still in Microsoft Teams. I haven't moved into Microsoft Dynamics at all. The other way is to utilize an existing team and then integrate that with Dynamics Records. So got a very simple test team here, and along the top with the tabs that you're probably used to and aware of, you have the ability to pull in either views that you're used to seeing or you want to see in more detail, or you can see a particular record. So this is really useful if you've got a team with a client name or a project that you're working on. You can actually pull their Dynamics records directly into here as well. And again, you have full functionality as you would do inside of Dynamics. When you have a connected record, it also means that the files are syncing natively between. So if you're used to the file storage, which is backed up into SharePoint inside of Microsoft Dynamics, then you can drop files either inside of the team window, which will then sync with the Dynamics record, or in the Dynamics record, which will then sync back into the team's file structure.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Great demonstration there, as always. So Kurt's actually from one of our elite service providers for Dynamics 365, Cloud9 Insight. So just to highlight, we do work with the best, and they know what they're talking about, and they can really support your customers. With regards to Dynamics 365 and Teams integrations, there really is so much you can do. You've seen some of it in the demonstration already, so I just wanted to highlight this slide here where you can really see some of the things that you can do, and really the value that it's going to add. Spending more time doing actual tasks than anything else, really helping a person be much more productive, really improve collaboration as well, and really improve people being able to work together much easier on opportunities. One thing that I really like from a Dynamics 365 perspective is that, let's say, for example, you work in a sales industry, and it's more technological. I've done that previously myself. So sometimes on opportunities, I needed to bring in some tech people to help me. Now, they don't always, they're not always going to be working on sales roles. So, it's not necessarily that I'd always have to work with them. So one thing that's really valuable in Dynamics 365 and Teams integrations is because you can use Dynamics within Teams, as you've seen Kurt do, I could bring someone in that maybe works in a completely different department to support me on an opportunity that doesn't even have a Dynamics 365 license. But I can bring them in on that team and they'll be able to support me. They'll be able to make amendments onto, if we're putting together a pitch deck or any kind of document for that opportunity, they can help me, they can support me on calls, really valuable stuff. And then thinking more towards the future, the Dynamics 365 Assistant application for Microsoft Teams, quite possibly my favorite thing that I've seen coming out. And I really love this because it's essentially giving every Dynamics 365 seller an assistant. When they're on Teams calls, taking notes, automatically saving those notes into Dynamics, preparing you for a call, preparing you for your day. It really is endless. So the fact that, everyone can now have an assistant through Dynamics 365 and the Microsoft Teams integrations is really valuable. And it really does show where we're moving forward with Dynamics 365. And I think the Teams integration is probably one of the most important things when it comes to Dynamics in this role. And just to really show again with the integrations with Teams, you can see there you've got the top left and bottom right, two different screenshots. One's taken from Dynamics, another one is taken from Microsoft Teams. And what you can see is exactly the same. You can see the files that are assigned to that opportunity in both. And, if you were to amend those files within Microsoft Teams, it would automatically save that down into Dynamics and vice versa. So it just really wanted to highlight that actually the view is very similar, but you can literally do everything right from within Microsoft Teams if you wanted. And one thing I wanted to highlight is the mobile application app. Maybe we're all using it. I know I do, but Microsoft Teams application, I'm always on it. I'm, working on a global team. I get contacted all sorts of hours. So it's really great that I've got that on my phone. But actually enabling me to access Dynamics 365 within Teams in my phone as well, in the very same way that you saw Kurt do it on his demonstration, asking questions, opening up opportunities, seeing dashboards. You can do all that right from the mobile application as well. So we're just going to take a look at some key takeaways now. Microsoft Business Applications can drive business results with next-generation omni-channel applications. This turns single interactions into ongoing engagements. Microsoft Business Applications helps organizations achieve greater business outcomes with built-in intelligence and prescriptive guidance. As a result, it can offer connected, intelligent services rather than static products. With Microsoft Business Applications, people are enabled to do their best work by unifying relationships, processes, and data with comprehensive applications connected through a common Microsoft Cloud platform. And this presents the 360-degree views of customers and operations rather than siloed data. And Microsoft Business Applications enables businesses to thrive as their business changes by extending existing applications, building new solutions, and integrating with other technologies on a flexible, scalable, and secure platform. And this allows them to move from fixed processes to highly tailored modern experiences that consumers expect. So really are some key takeaways here of the value that it can add to your end customers. And as I mentioned earlier, for every dollar spent on Dynamics 365, the return on investment is $16.97. So massive return on investments for the end customers. And we enable you to transact these products so much easier through our Dynamics Accelerate program. Thanks, Ed. That's great. So now what we're going to do is spend a bit of time just looking at how you can really get started, and be that in the Power Platform or Dynamics 365. And first things first, I think one of the most important things to help you get started is our Dynamics 365 Accelerate program. So if you go onto our website, microsoft.ingrammicrocloud.com/dynamics, and complete that very short form there, one of our Dynamics 365 experts will be in touch with you. And we can do anything that you need us to do. You know, if you want to see a demonstration, we can do that for you. If you just want to have a conversation about how we help you transact Dynamics, we can do that. But the best thing to do is fill in that form, and then someone will be in touch with you very quickly to really help you get started. And one thing that we can really provide you access with as well is our Dynamics 365 toolkit. So what we've done is taken all the best resources from Microsoft, all the best resources that Ingram Micro have, and put them on a one-pager, because a lot of this stuff is very hard to find. But you know, if you want to create demo tenants, you can do that from within here. If you want to access learning paths, licensing guides, any fast track resources, any documentation, any learning paths, anything at all, even consultations from Microsoft to support you getting started. All of that is available within this Dynamics 365 toolkit. Everything blue and underlined is a link to take you to where you need to go. So again, fill in that form on the previous slide, and we can get this sent over to you as well. And on that note of really bringing the best of Microsoft and the best of Ingram Micro resources together, this is enabling us to have the best resources to support you in the channel. So whether you're at the point of starting your practice, growing your practice, or wanting to optimize your practice, we've really pulled together the very best resources, from technical and sales enablement to marketing enablement, to really help you really grow your business. Whether, as I say, whether you have never sold Dynamics before and you want to look at doing that, we can do that for you. Or whether you want to, you're already selling and you want to really grow your business, again, we can do that for you. We've pulled together these incredible resources to help you do that. And we have our Dynamics 365 Accelerate program. No risk, no investment. We really have covered you when it comes to Dynamics. We've taken all the reasons why partners aren't currently transacting Dynamics and made them not a problem anymore. So there's no risk, no investment. We provide everything. We provide you with training to help you get started. If you want your sales team to have a decent fundamental knowledge of Dynamics 365, we can provide this training one-to-one. We also have pre-sales support documentation to know what questions to ask, how to scope out opportunities. But we don't just leave you to it. We also have our Dynamics 365 solutions architects, which will jump on calls with you and your end customers to scope out those opportunities on your behalf. We also provide you with marketing, so you can actually attract new customers in or target your existing customers. And on that, we work with you to really analyze your Cloud Ascent data from Microsoft to help you look at cross-sell and upsell opportunities. If you've not heard of Cloud Ascent before, then again, fill in the form on the previous slides and let's talk about that, and let's show you the Dynamics opportunity that sits in your existing customer base. So as I say, we provide that pre-sale support, that pre-sales enablement. We also work with the best implementation partners on the planet to really give your customers and you the best Dynamics 365 experience. So they will provide the implementation, they will provide the ongoing support. And the great thing here is you earn the licensing revenue. So you sell the licenses, you own the customer relationship. You can also earn a percentage of the implementation and ongoing support fees as well. So even though you're not doing that implementation, you're not doing that support, you can still receive revenue on that. So it's almost like a bonus. And we do have a program in place where you can actually go on to learn how to do implementations and so on as well. If you do wish to take that to the next level, we can do that for you with our Dynamics Angels program. And we also have lead generation services. I mentioned Cloud Ascent, but we can also do so much more for you, marketing as a service to really enable you to grow your business. Where not only can you offer these customers Dynamics 365, but also Microsoft 365 and Azure as well. So you're really going to grow your business through this program. There's so much that we provide, and I haven't got enough time, but feel free, again, check out the website, fill in the form, and speak to us, and we'll go through all this with you. And I've mentioned our incredible elite service providers a few times on this call. So just to kind of highlight a few of them on this call here, you've got Cloud9 Insight, Preact, Azumba, Websan, Cooper Parry, and NAB Solutions. Some incredible global, award-winning Dynamics 365 partners that we're working with to make sure that we're providing the best Dynamics 365 experience for our partners. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for listening today. I really hope you've learned something about the value of Dynamics, the applications themselves, where it sits on the Microsoft ecosystem, the integrations with Teams, and the Power Platform as well. I really hope you've learned something today. I really hope you're interested in Dynamics now, maybe more so than you already were. But as I say, get in touch. Fill in the form online, and we're more than happy to have a conversation with you. There's no commitment, but it's good to learn, good to understand what we can do for you. We are cloud growth specialists. We're more than just a provider. We want to help our partners grow their business, and that's the goal here. So yeah, get in touch and let's speak about Dynamics.